I'm standing tall, and as an American, I'm walking proud, brother. Oh, I don't know, Jay. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. But whenever I'm up at Yankee Stadium and I see Old Glory unfurled, unfettered, and freely snapping proudly in the breeze, I get a tear in the corner of my eye. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. When I hear the melodious and blessed strains of our beloved Star-Spangled Banner, I get a tear and a lump in my throat. Because my politics, Jay, can be summed up in 3 words, which were uttered by the great General Douglas MacArthur. God bless America. And when you mentioned the great late Senator Joe McCarthy last week, God bless him, because he had the foresight to expose the termites that were hiding in the woodwork of democracy.
You're right.
Infesting and in every crack, every crevice, every orifice, subverting and perverting our blessed American way of life. J. Diamond, the verminous offspring, the ideological scum of the left continue their unabated assault upon our American life, giving aid and comfort to the enemy. We must pass alien and sedition laws. We must begin to cleanse this country.
I like that. Alien and sedition laws.
Yes, let us cleanse this blessed land of the seditious elements that are supporting this fiend, this beast, this Haman in the Middle East, Saddam Hussein, because like Haman, he would seek to destroy Israel and the Jewish people. You know, did you see the black anti-Semitic caucus on TV? That's what they are, J.A., I'll say it. They are the black anti-Semitic caucus. Over there with that actress, Margot Kidder, and how they're so sensitive about the poor Iraqi bombs falling on them, Jay. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yes, and Jesse Jackson, every time a bomb falls, hope dies. Did you hear one word from them excoriating this degenerate beast in Iraq?
This is the guy whose soldiers raped a 5-year-old girl in every part of her body until she died and made her father watch.
Were their Palestinian friends outraged?
Right.
Missiles falling. Not one word. I guarantee you if it was the other way around, Jay Diamond, they'd be screaming about Zionist aggression. One needn't be a supporter or an admirer of Israel. It's natural to have differences. Why not? But there's a line that must be drawn, a line of morality, and say what is right and what is wrong. These are the people who keep on talking about race. They inject race into everything until you get sick of it.
Read today's article in the Times about the Pajama Institute.
Well, you know, Jay,
the all-black school to train racists at public taxpayers' expense.
Why is it that we have to inject race into the army?
I'll tell you. Well, anyway, listen, Frank, I've got to go because Joe Nolan's waiting, but I want to thank you for remembering what I said about Douglas MacArthur and Tail Gunner Joe, 2 real Americans.
Thank you.
And over the weekend, that phony Cardinal, John O'Connor, was in Scranton. And he's just like you said, a fake and a phony. He was here for an abortion, pro-life thing, and I really don't have any interest in that subject at all. But, of course, they got into the war. And I understand he was a Vietnam chaplain or something. He probably did see some gruesome sights, but...
He was in the Navy for 27 years.
But he was saying stuff like...
Too bad he didn't serve on the submarine USS Thresher.
But he was saying things like, I shed many, many, many tears of sorrow.
He's a big fake. What a fake.
I know, and I said, oh, come on, this guy's a jerk. And you were right, you know, he was a phony. I didn't go to any of the thing. I just, from what I read in the paper and see on the evening news, and he is a real jerk. But
American people would find something they misplaced, and that is their sense of proportion. Because Margot Kidder does not deserve one dime from the American motion picture going public. She should never be in a production again. She should be blackballed. And the best way to blackball a scum who hates America like Margot Kidder is for nobody to ever see any production she's in.
Well, I think
when the word gets out to the producers, who are feckless freaks who really have no country of their own, who really have no allegiance to this country, when the word comes out, hey, if we have Margot Kidder in our production, people aren't going to come. They aren't going to spend money. They won't put her in any production, and she'll be relegated to where she belongs.
Thanks.
Yes, I think you have one hell of a nerve to talk about Cardinal O'Connor the way you do. It's his people who are fighting this war, dying for it, the war that you wouldn't...
With that, she hung up. Oh, dear me. That was Jean from Queens. Jean, you hung up after calling me that name. You hung up, and you went back to your telephone. Jean, in addition to O'Connor, you too are a fake, a phony, a fraud. In other words, Jean, you're the typical type of hypocrite that I despise.
I'll stay with the trouble. I'm no fake, no phony or fraud. I'm totally against the war. I don't feel that we have anything to gain by being over there. Meanwhile, those of you who are so interested in gung-ho and all...
No, isn't that word gung-ho? Don't say people who are supporting the war are gung. I don't know what gung-ho. What is gung-ho supposed to mean?
Let's go get him. Let's go kill him.
Hey, look. If you're in a war, that's the idea. You got to get him. Why be in the war? Hey, jerk! If you're in a war, you're in a war to win. We've had enough of Lyndon Johnson type war where you're just in there to die without winning.
All right, so why don't you go fight? Why don't you get your out there and fight?
That's no answer. That's no answer. Why don't I go fight? We have a professional military, pal. We have a professional military. Presumably, when they joined up, they knew that maybe one day they would be in a war. You know, don't turn that stuff around and say, "Oh, these guys like war." I haven't heard one person say they like war.
Plenty of you people.
I haven't heard one person say they like war. You little vermin. I just squashed you. What a lot of skunks there are. I hate them. Monitoring them at all times.
It isn't. It only takes pictures 4 times a day.
All right, that's enough. 4 times a day.
No, but if you are familiar with the Iraqi, let's just take an example. The Iraqi.
And why are some of the fixed scuds still working? Come on, you know what? We put too much faith in the doggone satellite.
Well, no, the reason the fixed scuds are working is because they aren't hardened sites.
They are not. General Kelly said they are not hardened sites. Don't you guys listen?
Did you hear the news report about...
He said they were stationary sites, but they weren't hardened. Come on! I have to laugh at all you armchair generals. You come out of the woodwork. You know so damn much, for heaven's sake.
Okay, thank you.
WABC, Bob Grant with you.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First question is, do you really know how to fight? And if the answer is yes, who did you learn from?
If the answer is yes, what?
Who taught you how to fight?
What do you mean, do I know how to fight? What are you talking about?
Well, a lot of times I hear you threatening to punch people in the nose.
No, I don't threaten to punch them in the nose. I threaten to punch their nose right down their throat.
I just wanted to know.
Now, why this interest in that? What are we leading up? What are you leading up to, Joe?
Nothing. I just want to know who taught you.
What makes you think anybody taught me?
Well,
I'm not a professional boxer. What kind of idiotic question is this? You must have something in mind here.
No.
No, that's it, huh?
That's it.
Okay. That's it. Okay. Goodbye, Joe.
Bye.
I tell you, there are a lot of sick people out there. A lot of sick people.
A great show. Bob, you couldn't shine Cardinal O'Connor's shoes, you anti-Catholic bum.
I'm not an anti... Well, with that, first he says, great show, and then... because I think Cardinal O'Connor is a fake and a phony and a 2-bit fraud doesn't mean I'm anti-Catholic. Means I'm anti-O'Connor.
Their child, or who gave the word that you fellas have to come down to a Howard Stern level? At one time, you used to talk about standards, like lowering standards in the school, but you're not the same Bob Grant that used to be. Sometimes some of the foul things. Hey, I've said some of them, and I've heard plenty of them. But to hear you, really, Bob, it's beneath you. I can't understand it.
What have I said that's beneath me?
Well, the way you are an intelligent man. You're supposed to have the words at your fingertips, that you have to use foul language.
Well, what have I used that you object to?
Well, I would rather not repeat them, but Bob, I'm quite sure that you're aware of them. You never use those foul things. SOB and...
yeah, that's true. I never did. You're absolutely right, Pat. But in the 20 years I've been broadcasting on the radio here in New York, I've never been confronted with a Saddam Hussein before. And That's why I've described him as such. And if you're offended, if you think it's beneath me...
Well, there are a few other things, Bob, I'd like to talk about.
Okay, now what else?
Okay, another thing. I don't know whether you watched the series about the Civil War. I did. And although I usually let my head rule my heart, I was almost had tears at the end of that series. So when you talk about Cardinal O'Connor being a phony, I have nobody in this war right now. But I, too, if I see any of these people, I think it's just a horrible thing to look at. And so what gives you the right to doubt somebody's sincerity, that they could feel this emotion when people are hurt?
Well, I don't. If Terence Cardinal Cook said it, of course I would believe it, because Terence Cardinal Cook
excuse me,
was a great man and a sincere man, and I had great affection for him. This guy I don't put in the same class. So that's the real reason you take umbrage with me.
No, there's other things, Bob.
Hey, look, Pat, look. I'm not saying this to provoke you. I'm not saying this to insult you. But, Pat, I don't care.
I know you
I don't care, because I'm speaking what I believe is the truth. I'm speaking my mind. I know it's impossible to have everybody approve of what I say, no matter what I say, no matter what I say.
It would be very boring if you did please everybody, but you can use different language, and a little respect here and there wouldn't hurt.
Well, when it comes to Saddam Hussein, I want to kill him. I despise him. I hate him. I loathe him so much that it's amazing that that's all that I've used in talking about
I don't believe that anybody respects that nut. And anybody, I said that there's a listener in your audience that would respect him, and I'm not referring to that. But when you call Cardinal O'Connor the names that...
Yeah, when the guy said he was going to donate his Social Security to a scholarship for black kids, that's a phony deal, for heaven's sake.
Well, that's a matter of opinion. Maybe one more thing with the current thing that you're talking about. You berated the TV and that they shouldn't be announcing all of the things, and I agree with you to a certain extent. But then on the other hand, you are making a judgment about that we're not doing enough. How do you know what our plans are?
Well, I don't know, but you're right. I've made a judgment that we're not doing enough, because on the basis of what they are telling us, and on the basis of at least showing us a little, they have not even shown us a little. I respect General Kelly, and I'm willing to go give the Pentagon every benefit of the doubt. But can't we see a little bit of the destruction we have allegedly caused?
Well,
see Iraqi blood. I don't want to see Israeli blood, or American blood, or Kuwaiti blood, or Italian blood, or British blood. I want to see Iraqi blood, damn it!
Oh, Bob, that's very dramatic. Very dramatic, Bob.
Very dramatic. Pat, why do you listen to this program if it upsets you so much?
Because you have good callers. Nobody listens to the host. They listen to the other callers.
If nobody listens to me, how would you even know what I said? If I
listen to you naturally.
Now you're unmasking yourself.
Your program is for the other callers. Don't you? All of you hosts.
But don't lump me with the others. They're all amateurs compared to me, and you know it.
I'm talking about the callers, Bob.
Oh, the callers.
Callers make the program.
Callers make the program?
Absolutely.
I see. Well, therefore, if I'm so inconsequential, why do you even criticize it?
Because your callers have many, many different ideas.
I
all
see.
Callers
now
do.
Pat has graduated. Before she was speaking for just the Archdiocese. Now she's speaking for all the other callers.
Defend the Archdiocese.
You know what, Pat? You're a pompous oaf. You know that?
You know what,
You're
Bob?
very pompous.
Thank God, I hope I will always be, if I'm me and you're you, Bob, my deepest condolences.
So long, Pat.
Bye.
WABC.
There goes Pat. Why is it people who have that pomposity, that self-righteousness, are always so nasal?
This portion of the...
Everybody a Jewish lackey.
Oh, cut it out, Jewish lackey.
The Zionists. Come on, will you? You're beating the war drums, and every time somebody...
Hey, I don't have to beat... Hey, Ira, I don't have to beat any war drums. We are in a war. Like it or not, we are in a war.
Like you, we are.
Why did you give the phony name Ira?
Because it's a Jew name, and I figured you didn't...
What's your real name, Ira? What's your real name?
What's my real name?
Yeah.
What do you care?
I care because you called me and you've made some blatant anti-Semitic remarks.
The real name is Ted.
Ted, you're a jerk. And until then, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. Kill him. We're going to go to Al, who is on the line from New York City. Hello, Al.
How you doing, Bob? Listen,
I've had, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I want to point out to you, I've had 4 how are yous, and now this is the first how you doing. 4 how are yous, 1 how you doing. Yeah, go ahead, Al.
That I get the funny feeling is maybe it's because his pigmentation.
No, it's because he's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. It's also because he is more at ease with reporters than a lot of other people in the military.
Now, I'm not saying this because I'm putting him down because he's a...
No, you're not putting him down. You're putting yourself down.
No, it's just that, you don't...
You're portraying yourself as some kind of an oddball.
You really think so?
Absolutely. I wouldn't say it if I didn't think so.
Well, it's just that he's getting all the publicity, and I don't see it.
Well, he's getting all the publicity. I don't know what it is. What do you want him to do? Come in with a bag on his head?
No,
and just have the words unknown chairman?
No, but...
Get off my phone. I don't like creeps like you.
Thank you, Bob.
What a creep.
This is the second time when I called you. First time I called you 5 days ago, and I told you about Jesse.
5 days ago? Did you call? When was it Monday?
Yeah.
You called Monday.
Right.
Get off the phone. You're violating the once-a-week rule, you jerk.
Oh, what?
On W.
Had Channel 7 on with the briefing.
Yeah.
And the briefing went along well. I know they're not telling us everything, and they can't.
No, they can't.
But then this Canadian, what's his name, Jennings, he brings on, of all people, after the briefing, Ramsay Clark. And I'm going to tell you, if I could have reached in there and pulled his tongue out, I would have been happy to. He's crying of the tens of thousands of innocent Iraqis that we're killing and murdering. What's wrong with this man? You know?
Well, I've asked the same question. I don't know the disease he has.
He has a disease.
But one of the symptoms of his disease is he hates America. He hates America, despises America. We never do anything right.
I know.
Native-born American, I don't know where we deport him. I think rather the complaint should be with that left-winger Peter Jennings. And anybody in the media, they should not have. Ramsay Clark has no place.
I know.
On the air, has no business being given a forum.
I'd like to make.
Well, you've got to remember that most people who are involved in the news gathering business, whether it's electronic media, print media, whether it's before the camera, behind the camera, whether it's in the booth throwing the cue, whether it's writing the stuff, most people are left-wingers who were nurtured by professors who got their credentials during the 1960s. These are people who have this reflexive reaction to anything that this country does in its own enlightened self-interest. They hate America. I mean, it's that simple and that stupid and that hard to understand. I mean, as a matter of fact, I don't understand it. Couldn't he do it? You mean he didn't have his bags packed? You mean he didn't have any place to stay in Baghdad? What kind of idiotic question are you asking?
Okay, let me finish the question and the answer, whatever you want to say.
Well, don't play games. Just tell me, say, Bob, I have a theory, and here's my theory, Bob.
Okay.
I mean, what is it? What are we bringing back? John Charles Daly and 20 questions?
I don't have a theory. I'm just saying, I asked you the question, you gave me the answer, now I'm going to just ask you this. If, say, for instance, just hypothetically, and I know you don't like hypotheticals, but if I were Hussein, I wouldn't want to leave, because if I left Kuwait, I am trapped. I'm in Iraq now, and there is no bombardment anymore. I can't go to France. I can't go to the United Nations. My family can't travel.
Why?
Because what he did to Kuwait, he can be put on trial. The Israelis would go after his family.
All the UN resolution said was that he had to leave Kuwait. Nobody talked about restitution. Nobody talked about any kind of reparations. All they said was he had to leave Kuwait.
But if he did atrocities there, and they found out later that, hey, wait, we didn't know about these atrocities.
Oh, cut it out. You're making me sick. And you sound like a jerk anyway. Get off my phone. Your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. Kill him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just had a comment to make. I wanted to know if your listeners are aware that at this very day, we have dropped the equivalent of 5 Hiroshima bombs on Iraq, and that 80% have been successful, according to the Pentagon.
Well, that's
and that
what they
means
say.
that 20% of those unsuccessful have either dropped on the Saudi desert or in somebody's living room. And I am a devastated American, and I'm a patriot, and I marched on Washington. And millions of people all over this world are marching, and no, the media is not covering it. I want everyone listening to this show to wake up and become an American and save everyone who's over there, save the world. And I'm working on a Ph.D. in history, and Saddam Hussein is not the next Hitler. And we have plenty of people in this world, if you believe he is, who are capable of getting hold of nuclear bombs and things.
We have
created, and war is not the answer for peace.
Why are you so hysterical? Why are you so hysterical?
I'm hysterical.
Here, you have the gall. You have the gall to. Why are you screaming?
I know. I close my eyes and I know what's going on over there.
You better see.
I don't see it, but I know it.
You better see a good gynecologist. I think you need a hysterectomy.
Oh, okay. What you have your PhD?
All of a sudden she stopped. All of a sudden she stopped the crying, huh? All of a sudden you stopped it.
Peg, and I hope you get off the air. And I think that what you said about Islam the other day is absolutely appalling.
And
I hope that you're removed from this radio station, and I hope that you're removed very soon.
With that, she hung up. Now, that is the typical anti-war demonstrator. Hysterical, irrational, emotionally unstable. I'm glad she stayed on as long as she did, so you could really get a portrait, a profile of a typical demonstrator. Totally deranged.
How do you feel about this dual thing?
Well, it all depends on what you mean by dual thing. If you mean that it's impossible to be a good American and still be concerned for another country, I don't agree. I think that it's very possible to be a good American, to be a good loyal citizen, and still to be concerned about the land of your ancestry, the land of your origins.
But that doesn't. I think a true American would take care of problems here, and once they're solved, then go back. Want to go back to your native country. And
I don't know what you mean by once the problems are solved, then go back. What are people just problem solvers, or are they people? I don't understand. I know you're talking about Jews going to Israel. I know that's what's on your mind. That's really what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Only you're not man enough to come right out and say it.
No.
So you use ambiguity.
Why do they say I'm going home?
You're as obvious as a ton of manure.
Why do they say I'm going home?
Wish you wouldn't have come into my country. I wish.
Where did you come from?
I was born right here in the U.S. of A. And I love this country, which is obviously more than you can say.
You know nothing about nothing.
You obviously don't like this country. Your heart is back there. Where are you from, or are you ashamed?
None of your freaking business.
What did you say? What? What did she say? Did we get that? Huh? Oh, freaking. Okay, none of your freaking business, and she hung up. Well, that's, she's probably ashamed of, she's probably from Iraq. Anyway, Dorn, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? I'm calling for the same reason that Arlene just called.
The same reason that who?
Arlene just called.
Okay.
I don't think you had any right to tell that lady to go and get a hysterectomy. That wasn't very
What do you mean by rights? I don't need any rights. There's nobody that gives me the right to say anything. Nobody gives me the right to say anything. I say what I want to say.
Right, but you jump all over everybody's back. You don't let them speak. What that lady was trying to say is she feels the pain also.
What kind of name is Dorn, anyway? That's not a girl's name. Why don't you stay on the line? I'll talk to you after the news and the traffic. Don't hang up, Dorn. Stay on the line. I've never talked to anybody by the name of Dorn before.
I will. I won't hang up.
It's 5 o'clock. So what else did you want to say?
What else do I want to say? I just still don't think it's right about telling this lady to go get a hysterectomy.
Well, she sounded hysterical.
Well, she was hysterical, but I think everybody now is feeling the pain
Yeah, but
the men
look,
and women.
People haven't been calling like her. Look at you. You disagree with me. You're being critical of me, but you're not getting hysterical about it.
Right.
And
I don't
and that's
feel
why
that you have to get hysterical about it, but you didn't have to come back with that comment either.
Oh, I didn't.
And I also think that the news media isn't doing a great job of it either. I think they're making matters worse.
Well, I'm not going to defend the news media. If you think that by criticizing the news media you're going to upset me, you're not. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things you and I can agree on.
Right. And I think that it's really bothering everybody.
This is a little different. There's no patience. We don't want it to take any time, and we don't want to take any toll either. We are at a psychological disadvantage in that respect. But the fact of the matter is, Dorn, that's the way the war has to be waged, with patience and with an understanding that we pay the price.
What do you feel about President Bush, though? You think he's doing a good job?
I think he's doing the only thing he could have done, yeah. I think he's doing a good job. And I think that if the war concludes fairly soon and with light casualties, people will certainly all support him. I think if the war goes badly, it drags on, then of course, it's anybody's guess.
Could you do me a favor?
A favor?
Yeah.
I never say yes until I hear what the favor is.
I'd like you to apologize to that lady.
Oh, cut it out. Get off my phone. Apologize to that lady. And do her a favor. How does it do Dorn a favor if I apologize to that douchebag that I told to get a hysterectomy? How dare Dorn? Ha! Can you believe it? Do me a favor. Would you apologize to that lady? I can't believe it.
Involved in the Jewish areas, and I do business with many people, and I know their strategies, how to do business, and I respect their business ways.
Where are we going with this? This ought to be good.
No, I'm just making...
We got to be leading up to something here.
Well, we are leading everywhere. It has what they believe, and we all have our rights, don't we?
Well, I said we're leading up to something. What are we leading up to?
Well, what I mean is, here we are in a situation as we are, and it seems awful bold, even goes beyond that, even to suggest, especially when our guys are over there putting their life, because basically it is putting our lives on the line for Israel.
No, we're not doing this for Israel.
Well, I think...
we never sent anybody. We never sent anybody over there before. We're doing this for a specific reason, and Israel is just part of it. But we're not there for Israel. What are you trying to spread that garbage around for?
Well, it's not spreading. Are you Jewish, by the way?
I mean, you know what I like. You know what I like about you. You know what I like about you. What a fake! What a fake! What has that got to do with it?
Well, I'm just asking.
What has that got to do with it? Are we not two Americans talking right now?
But
are we not two Americans talking right now?
But do you have Israel citizenship?
Don't be stupid.
Well, no, I mean...
Don't be stupid. Cut it out, Israel citizenship. I was born and raised in the United States of America. I only have American citizenship.
Bob,
don't try to distract the issue here.
Bob,
don't try to change the subject. The subject is not my citizenship.
Bob, let me... Could I please...
No. I want you to explain yourself a moment ago when you said, I'm connected to many Jewish areas.
Well,
I know the way Jews operate.
Okay,
what do you mean by that?
Wait a minute, Bobby.
What do you mean by that, you anti-Semitic skunk? What do you mean by that?
Well, wait a minute. You are... Wait.
Wait, whoa?
You know, you speak...
You better make it quick. We're running out of time, pal.
You denounce the Islamic, and you put them down. And I'm not putting down Judaism, because I have a lot of friends that are Jews.
Oh, then it makes anything you say... this guy has a lot of Jewish friends, so anything he says is okay.
When this war is over, we'll find the source of the problem.
Look, let's win the war, and then we'll talk about the Palestinian issue. And I agree
No, that should have been dealt with a long time ago. You know that yourself.
No, first things first, you creep.
Oh, Bob.
You know what? There are very few callers. There are very few callers.
Man, anyone who would sit there and talk like that.
By the way, what's your ethnic background?
What is my ethnic?
Yeah.
As far as my...
where do you have citizenship besides America?
I wish... right now, I'm sort of ashamed of it.
And what is it?
What is what?
Where else? You accuse me of having dual citizenship.
Right.
Where else do you have citizenship?
I'm part Jewish.
You're part Jewish?
That's correct.
What kind of answer is that? I asked you where you had citizenship.
Well, I'm not...
You don't even get off my phone, you lowlife. What a lowlife. This is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. Kill him. They thought that maybe the likes of Flim-Flam Florio, the governor, I'm sorry to tell you, of the state of New Jersey, Il Supremo, his arrogance in Albany, who unfortunately is the governor of the state of New York, and Dapper Dave Dinkins, the individual who is in Crazy Mansion in lieu of a mayor for New York City, that all three of them are getting a free ride. And what this person meant by that was, because we are so understandably focused on the Middle East, because we are so focused on the war, we haven't had time to talk about the transgressions that these misfits, that these fake, phony, fraud politicians are committing here in this country. We are going to have this report in just 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. In just 1 minute, we are going to switch to the Pentagon. Let's try to clear up some debris left over from other programs. Apparently, some followers of Mohammed, some Muslims, believers in Islam, are upset over comments that I have made about the Islamic religion. I think when it comes to religion, I am a very tolerant person. A person can follow any religion they wish, and I do not condemn it. But I made the point, and I'm making it again, that those of us who are not Muslims, whenever we hear about the Islamic religion, it seems to be in anger. We'll talk about that at a later time, and those people who want to debate me can do so. It's now 3:30. The result of the 1967 June War, which Israel, I hasten to add, did not really start, and the territory that Israel occupied as a result of that war is the main bone of contention on the surface. But having said that, if you really lived there, as you say you did...
I did my duty there. I drove tractor for a couple of years in a kibbutz.
What do you mean by you did your duty? You were in the Army?
No, but I drove.
What do you mean by you did your duty? What do you mean by that?
Well, as opposed to the people who just give money, I went over there and gave a few years in my 20s to drive
Big
tractor.
deal. Aren't you something? We should pin a medal on you. If you really feel that way, why didn't you make Aliyah?
Why, don't I make Aliyah?
Yeah, why didn't you at the time?
Well, if you're not going to threaten me, I will be able to tell you why, but there is a good reason for it, is that I have to make a living, okay?
I see. When you couldn't make a living in Israel, you know what? Sam, you don't come across legit to me. You come across like a fake, a phony, a fraud, and a pretender.
Well, it's not...
Yeah, get off my phone, you fake. Larry.
Hi, Bob Grant.
Yes, Larry.
I just wanted to say, how come you didn't put Neil Bush as the person who is actually getting a free ride from this whole Iraqi war?
Neil Bush is getting a free ride?
Well, you mentioned Dinkins, you mentioned
Neil Bush does not hold an office. Neil Bush is not a governor, not a mayor. And I don't put him in the same category with office holders who are failing the people. Okay?
One more question, Bob.
Yeah, the question is goodbye. That's the question. I'm in no mood for the likes of you, you skunk.
Oh, yeah. I called you earlier this week.
You said you called earlier this week?
Yeah.
Guess what, Michael?
What's the story?
One call a week.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so you are a repeater.
Oh, I just started listening to your show, so I didn't know that.
Isn't that? Well, okay, so you can call next week, Michael.
Oh, I'm going to be out of town. I'll be on the West
Coast. Well, isn't that too bad? We'll try to struggle through without you.
Sure, Bob. Bye.
Rosario, round the fortifications, just the way the Germans did in 1940. They went around the Maginot Line, going through the lowlands of Belgium and Holland.
Well, what I mean is the U.S. does not even have to cross the border, but just what looked like threaten Baghdad.
Well, maybe they will. Oh. You know, I have to laugh at all you guys talking about it as though as though our military people don't have any ideas. What do you want them to do? Tell you what their ideas are?
It seems like they're bombing them like crazy, and they want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. That's the only reason I mention that, because if they do
we do want to get rid of them quickly as possible, but we keep hearing that we don't want our foot soldiers to move until we feel the air has done its job. Saddam Hussein had a friend in the weatherman 3-4 days of very bad weather, and hopefully we can make up for that. Thank you.
Said that he will try to prevent any attack from Israel or from Iraq to penetrate his airspace. I understand he cannot. He cannot shoot down any Scud missiles. Why is he not protesting that to United Nations or condemning Iraq?
Well, for one very simple reason. He is deathly afraid of Saddam Hussein. His sympathies are probably with Saddam Hussein anyway. We've gone over this about anybody who, I very seldom give instructions to screeners. Anybody who's screened a Bob Grant show knows I believe in a wide open program. But you know what? I think henceforth, anybody that wants to ask this question, you don't even have to put them on the air. I'm getting tired of answering it. Thank you. I've answered this over and over and over again about King Hussein saying they can't fly over his airspace, but it's okay if Saddam Hussein's missiles go over his airspace. It's obvious why. I'm getting tired of these banal questions about it.
Forces to have to babysit him.
Babysit who?
Dinkins. I assume that you had heard he's planning to go to Israel.
I didn't hear. Yes, I know about that. And of course, why is he spending the taxpayers' money? What is he trying to do? Curry favor with the Jewish voters? Is he trying to curry favor now? After being against everything that America has stood for, after being against every defense appropriation, after being against the home port, after being against everything that could conceivably enhance our military capability, now this skunk, this fake, this phony wants to go there? For what purpose? I'll tell you for what purpose. To make brownie points. Well, it's not going to work, Dapper Dave. It's not going to work.
Okay, Bob, you're very knowledgeable in this foreign policy, and I'll tell you one thing. I want the American public to listen to this. 90% of the American people have very their lack of knowledge when it comes to foreign policy. They are very misinformed, misunderstood.
Now, where do you put yourself? In the 90% or in that 10%?
10%. I think that you are the very few people who are very knowledgeable. I've listened to you.
You said that 3 times. I'm going to believe it any second now.
Yes. Now, the question here is this, the Persian Gulf issue. I personally think that the Arabs have no opportunity to express themselves in the foreign policy throughout the American system.
You're not making any sense.
Okay. Let me explain. Let me put it to you. Okay.
Make some sense, will you, pal? Otherwise, I'm going to go on to another call because you're beginning to get on my nerves.
Okay, let me make it very plain.
All right.
Okay. I've been to Iraq. I've been to Iran. I've been to Saudi Arabia.
In what capacity?
Okay, as a tourist, as an American tourist.
You hit all the glamour spots,
exactly.
all the high spots.
Okay, I've been there as an American tourist.
You had a choice of a cruise in the Caribbean, but you decided you wanted to live high off the hog.
And I've been
so you went to Iran. When did you go to Iran as a tourist?
I've been there to check what's going on, and I'll tell you something.
Now you were there as a guy to check. First you were there as a tourist, now you're there as a checker.
As a tourist, but I'll tell you something. Some of these villages have no clean water to drink, and we're selling them $50 million aircrafts. We're selling them military equipments for the last 25 years.
They want to buy it.
They want to buy it, but we want to sell it. We never sold them any water.
It's our fault then that Saddam Hussein is a Meshuggah crazy maniac, huh?
And he is a crazy maniac, understood, no doubt. He's a butcher. He has done all this to Iranian people. But we're the one who gave him all this ammunition. Wait a minute.
Let's correct things right now. 90%, pal, 90% of his munitions came from the Soviet Union.
Okay.
The rest came from various Western countries, France, Germany, which has been responsible, helped him build his chemical warfare, and a very small percentage from the United States. So be careful when you make statements such as you've just made.
You're telling me that the fighter planes that were sent to
I'm telling you that this guy's got MiGs, he's got Mirages, Name one American plane he has.
What about the F-14 we sold to Iran?
You were talking about Iraq.
Okay,
you were talking about Iraq. Now the guy switches to Iran.
No, I'm talking about it's all the same
Conveniently, he switches to Iran.
10 years ago, we had a problem with Khomeini. We sold them.
What's your point? Hey, what's your point?
My point is that we are selling them these equipments.
Well, we're not selling them equipment anymore. Hey, listen, Mohammed.
We're selling them.
Where are you a citizen of? What country are you a citizen of?
I'm a proud American citizen.
My foot, you're a proud American citizen. You may have a piece of paper that says you're an American citizen, but you're not proud. You're not proud at all. I left my heart in the Persian Gulf. What a fake, phony fraud. Harry, you're on WABC with Bob Grant. Hello.
Yes, Bob. I want to tell you one thing. All right, don't get yourself excited and don't raise your blood pressure.
Don't tell me what to do and what...
Don't you do that.
Hey, listen, don't you tell me what to do and what not to do.
Bob,
you understand?
Bob, now be nice, all right? I want to compliment you.
I just got through telling you.
I know, Bob.
Hey, hey, look, I'm warning you, Harry. I'm going to hang up on you. If you say one more time, don't raise your blood pressure, be nice or anything like that.
Let's be heard. That's your
Give your opinion.
That's your logo. Let's be heard. So let's be heard.
So what? So what? I created it. I can destroy it.
Let's be heard. Now be nice.
All right. He said he didn't want to learn his lesson and get to his point. Okay. You must have some idea because you said we're tying their hands. What is it you suppose they could do that we're not doing? Could they fly sorties?
Well, no, that's not.
Could they launch missiles? I mean, what is it that they could do that we're not doing?
They won't screw around. They'll go right in and take this man out.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we're they're saying they're not tying our hands behind our back, but that we're worried about civilians and everything like that. And I just think we should let them handle it, being that they're.
You're saying that. But you still haven't made it clear what they could do. Listen, I'm all for them striking back, but I want to know what they could do.
They could fly in closer.
They could fly close. Why could they? Wait a minute. Why could they fly closer? Do you realize that the British, proportionately, have been taking more losses than we have because the British have been flying very close. They've been doing a particular type of targeting.
Right, but
so you want the Israelis to have their plane shot down? See, you're not making sense. You're just speaking emotionally.
Well, yeah, it is a little emotionally.
A little? It's all emotion. You haven't given me one even hint of what they could do better.
Well, why not let them get involved? That's the question.
Well, I tell you, okay. Welcome to the world, Greg. I guess you've been out of town somewhere.
I think I got you.
The reason is, Greg.
I think I got you, Bob.
Yeah, the reason is, Greg, and I'm going to tell you because I'm going to play real dumb with you and pretend like I really believe what you just said. The reason is the coalition would fall apart. That is the fear that we have, and the Israelis are smart enough. One thing the Israelis are, Greg, is smart. A lot smarter than dumbbells who are talking on this radio program sometimes.
That I agree with. But the only thing, the whole question, the whole point I was trying to hit up this is, what is the worst that could happen if the coalition falls apart? I mean, we're not dealing with people. So what? They fall apart.
Well, what is the worst that can happen? Can you imagine if the Saudi Arabians said, no, we can't continue fighting now because the Israelis are in? Then where do we go? Then what do we do?
So if we say, well, if they can't fight...
You got an answer for that? If you come up with an answer, let me know, will you? Thank you very much. One of the negatives of doing this type of program, and I know it goes with the territory, and I should be more patient. I really should. But especially in times like these, the dumbness, the stupidity on the part of a lot of people becomes monumental. I'd like to go back to the early days of yesteryear when the West was young. No, I'd like to go back to the early days when I began doing this format, and it was still somewhat of a novelty, and I would be real patient with dumb statements, dumb questions. I wonder if I could go back to those. I'm going to try that sometime. Sometime I'm going to try to be extremely patient, and no matter how stupid the person is, I'm going to pretend like I think he's intelligent. I think I'll be like the other people who do this type of format. William, you're on WABC. Thank you for calling from Long Island. Hello. Thank you. The parade of dummies continues on the Bob Grant program. Anthony, hello. I'm deathly afraid of him. That feckless little jerk known as the Hashemite King, King Hussein.
Yes. Senile.
He's absolutely shameless. I hope he croaks the day after Saddam croaks, and I hope that's today. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
What would it be nice if Saddam Hussein would croak? Croak right now. Let's everybody make a doll, a little doll, stick a pin in it. Maybe if we all do enough mental work, we can send enough mental energy to destroy him. Destroy Saddam Hussein. Die, Saddam Hussein. Die, Saddam Hussein. Maybe we'll have a chant. Maybe next week on the Bob Grant program, every day, instead of taking phone calls, doing commercials, or any updates, traffic reports, anything, maybe for 3 hours straight we'll say, Saddam Hussein, die. Saddam Hussein, die.
That's good. But I want to say something. I think everybody is pro-American and everybody happy for the troops. Black people...
Happy for the troops?
Well, everybody...
I don't know if people are happy for the troops.
Well, everybody...
we're supporting them.
We're supporting the troops.
By the way, where are you from, pal?
I'm West Indian, Mr.
I see. Would you go back there, please? I don't want to listen to you on WABC. Ira, hello.
Oh, Bob. Bob, if the president has said that he wants to win this war as quickly as possible, and he said he wants to keep American casualties to an absolute minimum, and he said he doesn't want to tie the hands of the military, what is the remaining argument against the use of tactical nuclear weapons against his troops?
There is none.
Thank you.
All right, sir. So all would have been over if we had done that. But
also, I'd like to... Where are these peace-loving marchers during peacetime? I mean, why aren't they their articulate minds out stemming up ways to keep the peace, or running rallies on a monthly basis to show the world that we are a peace-loving nation and to keep us out of these things, rather than during a crisis to bring down the morale of the troops families? I think they should just concentrate their efforts on maintaining peace before war, rather than running around with signs.
Well, look, anybody can have peace. Austria had peace in 1938 when it did not resist Adolf Hitler. Czechoslovakia had peace the same year when they did not resist Adolf Hitler. So, what do you mean by peace?
Well, during
peace is not liberty. Peace is not freedom.
Well,
peace for peace sake. Hey, all we got to do is tell Saddam. All we had to do is say, hey, listen, Mr. Hussein, you want to take over Kuwait? Fine. You want to take over Saudi Arabia? Fine. You want to take over the Arab Emirates? Fine. You want to take over everything? Fine. We want peace, so you do whatever you want. Come on.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that during our periods of peace, these people should spend their time and their minds and their energy on trying to bring to the attention of the American public how we should stay out of war.
Thank you very much. I hope you get better. And when you grow up, let me know what you became, a fireman or what. No, I didn't mean to insult the fire department. Excuse me. What a dope.
Really, if Al D'Amato ever considered that being at Saddam is holding American prisoners, he could jeopardize their safety by announcing on your show that he's going to Israel to discuss with the Israeli intelligence a plan to knock Saddam off. He has no authorization or qualifications to do something like that, even though he holds a high Senate position. I believe it's outrageous, for you to allow him to do something like that when Saddam is holding American POWs.
Outrageous for me to allow him to do something like that.
Yes.
I'm glad you think I'm so powerful and so influential and so important. Just think, Jerry, I'm allowing you to make a complete ass of yourself right here on the Bob Grant Show.
That's what you say.
That's what I say because that's what it is. You've just exposed yourself as being an absolute fool, a goof.
Explain yourself. Explain that, if you can.
Well, I don't have to. You already revealed very clearly how stupid you are when you say that I allowed Al D'Amato to say that.
On the radio, you announced what he was going to
do. Hey, listen, why don't you go over there to Bayway and do a little shoplifting in the drugstore some more, you skunk. Get off my phone. And now, WABC. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Mark. Why do you inject words like meshugana and other Hebrew.
I didn't use meshugana today yet, but that's a good word. I may use it before the day's over. It's a good word.
I mean,
do you find it offensive? I think it's a good word.
Hebrew, I don't understand it.
Well, what do you think it means?
I have the slightest idea.
Well,
I mean, you use.
Why don't you guess? Why don't you take a guess?
I know you're going to turn it around.
Why don't you take a guess?
Means beautiful.
Oh, you really think so, huh? Well, no.
Well, you're using.
You're beautiful, but that isn't what meshugana means.
But make up your mind. I mean, are you Israeli or are you American?
In this country, one of the beauties of being in America is that we have contributions from various ethnic groups. Now, if I use, say, an Italian word, would that bother you?
It would. I think purification of the language is.
I see. So we have to be pure. We have to speak pure American, huh?
Yes.
Well, listen. I happen to like using some of the colorful. I happen to like using some of the colorful words, which have become inculcated in our language. Do you know how many words were originally foreign words, which are now in our language? Take the word strafe, for example. That's a German word, strafen. In World War II, when a pilot would fly a fighter plane and fire his machine gun at ground targets, that was called strafing. We got that from the German word strafing. Take the word where some people park their cars, garage. We had no word. The French had a word, garage. We borrowed that. I could go on and on and on. The word shtick is being used. But if a person is a bigot, if a person is a little too bit twerp of a bigot,
but I can't understand what you're saying.
Hey, look, I don't care if you don't understand. You know why? I'll tell you why I don't care if you don't understand. What?
I know more words than you, pal.
You do know more words than me?
Yes, word origin.
I see. Well, what is your background that you know all these words?
My background? I'm an artist.
An artist? Yes, of course. Artists know words. What do? You paint on bathroom walls? Ah, you jerk. You know what? You're not even worth my time. Get off my phone, creep.
I just wanted to talk about this weekend they had on Peter Jennings' show. I don't know if you saw it, but it was terrible. All he did was, it was completely biased. All he did was show how the protesters all over the world, and they were basically trying to persuade these kids to back these protesters. I want to know if you had seen the show.
No, I spared myself. Life is too short, and I put up with too much crap as it is, so I avoided it. I knew what it was going to be, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah, and it was awful. I mean, I used to think Peter Jennings was respectable, but since I've listened to you, I watched him a few times, and you were right on about him. He's awful.
Oh, yeah, he's a left-wing skunk, but to show you how bad things are, he's still better than Dan Rather and the CBS crew.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I understand why when we are able to wage a war there at the cost of which we wage it there, we are unable to continue or wage the wars we say we are waging here. And I speak of war on drugs, and I speak of the 100,000 people who have already died of AIDS, and who are waiting for their battles to be won as well. And when I hear callers call in and say they are totally disgusted with people who are protesting the war, I think they should open their hearts a little bit and try to understand that not everybody in this country enjoys all the liberties of this country. So when it comes to standing out and carrying an American flag and wearing a yellow ribbon, and you are denied rights.
Well, what rights are people being denied?
Well, there are people in this country, such as gay people, who are not do not receive all the rights of.
What rights are they not receiving?
I mean, their basic rights, whether it's filing joint tax returns or having.
Oh, you mean they want to have? They want to have a living together arrangement recognized as a marriage. Is that what you mean?
Whatever it is, I mean, they're in this country.
In other words, what you're saying is
that
we should countenance people who are perverted, people who have a serious problem.
No, that's because you say that it is not so.
Well, it is so. And you know what? You're getting a little on my nerves. Matter of fact, I'm afraid I might get AIDS just listening to you.
Well, put
a condom on put a condom on your telephone if you want to continue talking to me.
I'd like to clarify this.
Sweet.
Because why are you assuming that I'm homosexual?
Because you sure as heck sound like it. That's
You're wrong.
Wrong?
Yes.
Well, it's too bad because you would have made a good one.
No, let me just
They're not getting their
Well,
rights.
I think one thing you have helped me is to showing everybody how ignorant you truly are.
Really?
Yes, thank you for that opportunity.
You little freak, you double... he's hung up. All right. The nerve of these people. We're not getting our rights. Oh, dear. Vito, you're on WABC. Hello.
Mr. Graham?
Uh-oh.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak.
It is my pleasure, Vito.
I appreciate it.
By the
way... The reason why I'm calling, first I want to let you as wartime consulate. It will help us and keep us informed of what's going on. People will turn to you because of your great intelligence. And the second thing I want to say is very short. When people go to sleep at night, and they put their head on the pillow, and they pull the sheets over them, take the moment of time to think of a soldier who's out there all alone, making it possible so you can have a peaceful and safe night's sleep.
Vito, I want to say something to you, and I know you won't take exception to this. But with what I know about your background and your, shall we say, proclivities...
That's right.
Why is it you couldn't send a couple of the boys out there to Baghdad and knock off that skunk?
Well, we made a phone call to certain people, and they said they won't make a move. They will not make a move unless it's cleared by Bob Grant. And I can't do anything. I can't go over your head, as you know, because you're in control of New York. I'm in control of Las Vegas. So it's up to you to make that decision. It seems you have more power than me.
Well, Vito, that's really saying something, but I do approve of it. I want you to send maybe Hugo Matsututaguanda over there.
Goes without saying.
It goes without saying. And Rudy Ashpera, these two guys are crack shots. I think they could get him.
Well, I tell you, I sent Alphonse D'Amato over there with a 45, and he starts handing out hats. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, D'Amato's busy having his picture taken.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk to him. Well, I don't want to disturb you. I know you're very busy. But just keep that in mind. When you go to sleep at night, think of that soldier that's out there making it possible for you to be safe. Say a little prayer.
It goes without saying, as Vito would say.
It goes without saying. Stop alone.
You too.
Be a good boy.
All right, Vito. That's Vito, the one and only Vito, checking in on the media. And I want to do a job on Walter Cronkite, because I used to like Walter Cronkite. But this relic, probably suffering from Alzheimer's or something, has made some of the most absurd, some of the most pathetic comments as a disgrace to his vaunted reputation, and he has further lowered, in my view, the image of CBS. I want to open tomorrow's program with an open letter to Walter Cronkite. That's tomorrow. Right now?
My regards to the war in the Gulf. I totally support it. There's no reason why I shouldn't. Being a veteran.
What's really on your mind? What's really on your mind, Frank?
What really is on my mind is that yesterday in the Super Bowl, okay, I'm watching that halftime thing and all the kids and everything.
I wonder if this guy's ever going to really tell us what's on his cotton-picking mind.
I had thoughts about it.
You had thoughts about what?
About the Persian Gulf War.
All right, tell us what they are. Stop bumpering, for heaven's sake. And don't give me that Nam stuff. Who are you trying to impress?
Well, I'm not trying to impress anyone.
Yeah, the guy says, I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was in the 36th Engineers. How many medals do you have? What are you're trying to impress me. That's what you're trying to do.
No, I'm not trying to impress you, sir.
And say Nam, because then that shows you're really on the inside. You know, Nam.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We didn't have the technology that was shown on TV where the troops were watching the Super Bowl. We didn't have all of this feeling of home. We didn't have that. My point.
How long were you there, pal?
A year.
You did a year, huh?
Yes, sir.
Where were you?
Mekong Delta.
What'd you do there? I mean, how many battles were you in?
Battles. We kind of weren't in any battles, but
you weren't. Yeah.
We were involved in the battles.
Why are you trying to impress me so much, Frank?
I'm not trying to impress you, sir.
No, you sound like you are.
Am I impressing you at all?
No. Well, yes, you are. You're impressing me that you have a problem.
Well, I have a problem with...
You have an identity crisis. You can't decide what you are, not who you are. Forget about that. What you are.
Well, let me tell you, Bob, I lost a year being there.
Okay, get the violins. Get the violins. This guy lost a year being there.
Yeah.
Listen, I talked to John McCain last week. He spent 5.5 years in the Hanoi Hilton. He didn't complain. He didn't complain. He didn't try to impress me.
I'm not complaining, sir.
Not complaining, sir. All right, as you were. Thank you for the call.
Thank you.
What a fake.
About Turkey now. I'm a Greek American. I was in Greece for 5 years, and Turkey is a really brutal country.
Oh, cut it out.
It is.
Cut it out. I knew that. As soon as he said he was a Greek American, I knew he was going to attack Turkey. Hey, by the way, I should have left him on the line. What has Greece done to help us in this war, huh? Your influence counts. Use it. Kill Saddam Hussein. It's 6 o'clock. Reo Diner, are you?
I'm in walking distance, Bob, and I hope you're not coming there tonight.
Why?
You know, you're sounding like a real jerk today. You know that?
Why do you say you hope I'm not coming there tonight? Why?
I don't know. You know, your show is long enough, 3 hours. We don't want to hear you talking about it over.
Well, I don't. What, do you think I continue the show when I'm
there's a time,
not there? No.
I don't. When the annoying people come up to you and
well,
talk
you
to you.
called before, Greg, and for some reason you don't like me. But let's put that aside. Then tell me, besides not liking me, what else is on your mind?
Personally, you're probably a nice guy, but you sounded like a real jerk today.
What am I saying that I sound like a jerk?
You know, they're very pessimistic. You remind me of 1986 on election eve when you were talking about how the caucus was going to win the election.
In other words, if a guy's pessimistic, you don't like it. You want me to be phony? You want me to pretend? Look, I am what I am.
You are what you are is right.
So, you know, Popeye said, I am what I am because I am what I am. So that's what I am. I'm pessimistic. What do you want?
You're a pessimistic old fool who's full of a lot of hot air today. That's what you are.
Because this runs contrary to your cherished wishes?
You know, Bob, I think you just do it to stir yourself up some more ratings. But and then another week.
How would this stir up more ratings? How would my being
more controversy?
How would my being pessimistic? How would that stir up more ratings?
And to get those old yentas out there like Dorothy to call in for.
Well, I got you to call in. Where would you compare? What would you call yourself? Are you an old yenta?
Do I look like an old yenta?
I've never seen you that I know.
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, I don't know. Let me tell you what you sound like, though. You sound like a pathetic loser whose only claim to fame is that you could call the Bob Grant Show. And guess what? You're through. On WABC, let's say hello to Jeff. Jeff, hello.
Bob, how you doing?
What's on your mind, Jeff? Besides that stupid question, how am I doing? You want to chat? Hey, give this guy my home phone number. We'll call later tonight and chat.
Okay.
I know you're back to your radio, Greg, because you have an empty, empty life, and therefore, if you didn't listen to WABC, it would be totally, totally barren. Greg, I'd like to meet you right in front of the Reo Diner sometime. And I really would like to punch your nose right down your dumb, stupid throat. How about it, Greg? It would feel so good to mash you. Can I do it, Greg?
Bob, as you know, Winnie Mandela goes on trial next week for the murder mutilation of a 10-year-old boy.
Yep.
Bloodstains were found on her living room walls. A rod to beat people was found in her closet. And clearly she was involved in the torture. And what has me scratching my head, Bob, is how this mayor can deny the New York Giants a parade, yet pull out all the stops to parade this witch and that terrorist skunk all around New York. I'd like your comments.
Well, my comment is simply this, that no matter what Winnie Mandela did, no matter what Nelson Mandela did, they're the right color, so they get a pass, and that's all. That's the top line, the middle line, and the bottom line. That's the whole thing right there, pigment.
And I appreciate ABC TV for the coverage.
Uh-huh.
But I mentally can't handle Sam Donaldson with his body bag.
every other word out of this man's mouth for weeks on end now is body bag.
Well, he's looking...
As a parent of a kid there.
Well, that's the idea. That's exactly the idea, Maurice. This is why he does it. Because he is looking forward to body bags coming back and huge demonstrations saying, end it, end it. But Sam Donaldson doesn't know the American people.
General Schwarzkopf just gave, I thought was a fair and great interview. As a parent, I felt that he's watching it. And then they come in with him at the last 30 seconds with that grin, talking away till the 12 body bags come home.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I'm livid.
Well, I don't blame you. I'm ashamed that Sam Donaldson works for the same company I do, because I think the man is an abomination. I think he's a disgrace. I think he's one of the worst jerks I've ever encountered. And beyond that, he's a great guy. Thank you for the call.
Thank you, Bob.
That's great, Bob. Bob, I also like to say that instead of carpet bombing, which is the term they're using for the B-52s,
yes,
shouldn't they call it rug bombing in honor of your toupee?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bill.
And he referred to them as body bags?
Well,
he has no compassion for them.
No, he doesn't have compassion. What he does have is unbridled fanatical ambition, and it's more important to him that he be right than that the United States prevail. And he was saying from day one, when the body bags come in, I remember him telling George Will one time on This Week with David Brinkley, when the body bags come in, you'll see any ardor for this war will end immediately. Well, he wants to be right, so he hopes that's what happens.
He seems like he's waiting for something to happen. Like he's just terrible. I wish he should be let go.
Well, he really has abused the great privilege that he has.
Those men lost their lives.
And really he has...
who is he really working for? But I'd like to know.
Thank you, Maureen.
Bye.
And there were some statements made in the past several months that I would kind of go to the library and do some research on. For example, there were some people would call up on, our black brothers.
Where are you from, by the way, Nick?
Long Island.
I mean, prior to your arrival on Long Island.
No, I was born here.
You're a fake and a phony. In other words, you're a liar. You weren't born there. Nobody has that kind of accent from Long Island. It's not a Long Island accent.
What kind of an accent is it, Bob?
Some cockamamie foreign accent. Probably a blend of having spoken a foreign language or having spoken English in a foreign country, and a lack of education.
You think you'd let me finish, Bob?
Well, we're in the process of having a conversation, aren't we?
Yes.
All right, finish.
Okay, so one of the books I took out is a book called Breaking the Chains by William Catt, and he discusses the hardships that our black brothers went through from the 1500s to the end of the Civil War. Then I took out a book, because I would hear these stupid people call up your show about and hitting the Israelis. So I took out a book called The Anguish of the Jews, which was a book by...
How convenient. This fake wants us to believe whatever he hears, he goes to the library and takes out a book. This is interesting. What an obvious phony you are.
May I finish, sir?
Yeah, you may. As a matter of fact, I love phonies like you so much. In order to expose you, I want you to stay on the line. We'll talk after the news and traffic. Long Island, still there, I trust.
Yes, sir.
And Nick had been telling us that he is a teacher, and he happened to hear someone talk about me in the lounge one day and has heard some discussions. And every time he hears a discussion, he goes to the library and gets a book that has some definitive information about the discussion we're having.
No, I didn't say definitive.
I said definitive.
Okay. No, it just gives another viewpoint. Let's see. Okay. So I mentioned about some of these anti-Semitic calls, and the kids would ask me, so I showed them the book by Flannery on the anguish of the Jews, and the newest book called Wars of the Jews, wherein the Jewish citizens have always fought against Nazism and whatever. There's also calls against the environmental, and I found a book by Herbert London called Why Are They Lying to Our Children? And I'd read that, and I'd discuss it with the kids. Now, here's my point. You've said several times some comments on John Cardinal O'Connor. So I went to the library, and I took two books out. One of them is I have in front of me. It's called John Cardinal O'Connor by Nat Hentoff, which is not that favorable. And another one is by the Cardinal and His Honor the Mayor, and it's an exchange. I read the books, and I found that Cardinal O'Connor is a war veteran. He was fired on. He says that he's against abortion and poverty. He's for a living wage for teachers, health
He's against
workers.
poverty. How odd that somebody would be against poverty.
So what is it here? Well, anyway, here's my question. What is it, because I'd like to know, what is it that you can send me to so I can find out the truth? Why is it that you call him a fraud and all these other names? I'd like to know because I can then explain it to my students.
Well, because when he expresses anguish about anything or anybody,
yes.
It doesn't ring true to me. I don't think he really feels any compassion for anybody. I think he's a master politician. I think that when he set up some kind of a fund where he was going to give his Social Security check, he proved what a fake he was because it was earmarked for black students. Why just black students? That gives you a little idea of I think, some of the fakery involved with this guy, some of the chicanery, some of the political manipulation involved with this guy.
So the information says that in this one book that he has a tremendous care and he's helped retarded children.
I don't care what the book says. I'm telling you what I believe about this guy.
Okay.
Why do you deny that you were born in another country, Nick?
What country do you think I was born in?
Maybe Ireland.
Ireland?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to play this to my students tomorrow. No, sir. I was born in a tiny little village here on Long Island. I went to a local high school.
Where'd you get that accent? What little tiny village?
A tiny little village.
What's the name of it?
I'm not going to tell you.
See, you've just exposed yourself as a fake and a phony because if you had the name, you got to think up a name now.
Oh, come on, now people don't give the names.
Get off my phone,
May I call
you
again?
creep, you jerk. What a fake.
Hello, Bob.
Born in a little village. First of all, nobody calls them villages out there anyway. What a creep.
Bob, I want to say that you jumped the gun. I have been listening to the talk shows, and I hear Nick, who is a Catholic school teacher. He is American-born of Italian descent, a most pro-American.
Yeah, this is a fake call too.
No,
you live in Elizabeth, New Jersey,
sure
right?
Do.
How do you know Nick?
Well, I hear him on the radio, and I have heard.
Oh, in other words, what he tells callers, you believe.
I believe that.
In other words, your life is so empty. You have nothing better to do than to listen to WABC talk shows.
No,
and you hear a guy.
I do other things, but I'm interested in hearing other people's opinions.
Catherine.
Yes, Bob.
Catherine, he fooled you, but he doesn't fool me. So.
Bob, I'm telling you, you jumped the gun.
I didn't jump the gun. I had to use the gun. Anyway, what else?
Well, that's it, Bob.
That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She spent the money for a call from Elizabeth, New Jersey, just to expose herself as being very gullible and naive.
In New York City, the Marla Hanson slash model case.
Yes.
Now, next month, February, is ratings month for television. Now, a television movie has been made about this, and I saw a preview of it, and this is what infuriates me, and I hope the whole audience is. Now, the whole nation is going to see this television movie. I think it's next Monday on NBC about Marla Hanson, and everyone can remember the brutal cross-examination of Marla by, it was either Mason or Maddox. Now, in the television movie...
It was Elliot Maddox. It was not Elliot Maddox. It was Maddox.
Alton Maddox.
Yeah, Alton Maddox.
Yeah, well, Alton Maddox, well, the producer of this movie, probably in collaboration with NBC, I don't know, but the producer has deliberately miscast it. A white actor is playing Mr. Maddox. Now, this is broadcasting to the whole nation who probably isn't familiar with the details of this. Misinformation, and it's also racist casting, and it's done a black actor out of a job. Now, the whole nation will think it's a white defense attorney who was brutal in his cross-examination of this innocent woman who was slashed, well, a beautiful model who was slashed. And that's what they're going to see next Monday on NBC.
Well, I'm not surprised because the networks, like all the other communications outlets and like most concerns in America, are gutless. They have this paranoidal, unwarranted fear of blacks, and they don't want to upset their sensibilities. Usually you can tell in a lot of these TV dramas who the good guys are going to be and the bad guys are going to be now. If you see a black actor, you say, he's got to be a good guy. And 9 times out of 10, he's a good guy, noble, decent, courageous, set upon. And then you see some white guy, and you say, he's going to be a sleaze. And usually he is. There are exceptions, but not often.
Well, not only do I protest this because of the misinformation that the whole nation will see, and therefore they'll think a white man is the evil man because he's been being portrayed as the evil man he was. But you know, in most dramas we have good people and bad people. Now, black actors are always complaining that they don't get enough jobs in Hollywood. Now, this could have been a great role for a black actor to play a villain, and yet the producer of this movie, which is on next week, will deliberately cast a white actor so that the whole people can see a white man as a villain in this.
And this will be one of those rare times that you don't get the NAACP and all those other jerks complaining. You know, usually they complain every time you turn around. It should have been this, should have been that. This time they won't complain. I wonder why.
Isn't it an irony that in Bonfire of the Vanities, Alan Arkin was supposed to be cast as the judge, but at last minute the producer of that cast Morgan Freeman.
Right.
And now we have the opposite, where a black attorney, a brutal black attorney in this cross-examination is being cast as a white man.
Robert, you're right on target. It's too bad there aren't more people like you. Thank you for the call.
Time ago, I made a suggestion about the Persian Gulf or Middle East crisis, and you called me a jerk.
How odd. I call somebody a jerk?
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, and you do it often anyway.
Really?
When somebody doesn't agree with you.
No, you know when I call you a jerk because I'm sick and tired of you talking about the post office.
I'm not going to talk about the post office.
Well, good. Give it a rest, will you?
Give it a rest.
Yeah, all right. Now what do you want to talk about?
Saudi Arabia.
All right, that's better.
How's that?
Yeah.
All
Leave
right.
the post office behind. I can't help it. I can't help it that you couldn't get a promotion from the post office.
No, the hell with him. I'm going to use fax machine.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Saudi Arabia. Let's get to the bottom of this. All this news coverage is being overlooked. They got 15 million people there, right?
Yep.
Okay. 65,000 military force. How much are they sacrificing in lives for that country? Look how many lives we lost already in America. Now, who's the head of Saudi Arabia? King Fahd?
King Fahd, the House of Fahd.
All right. Now, why don't he call a draft now and get an armed force together? We can arm them. We can give them anything they want.
Now, what are you suggesting? That at the 11th hour, after the war is already underway, that suddenly we call a timeout and say, no, we want to get some of these Saudi conscripts.
It could have been done some time ago, but nobody had any foresight.
Nobody had any. Well, people don't have the foresight that you have. We have our own.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you are brilliant. Listen, tell the post office to give you another chance, will you? Because maybe if you get a job, you'll stop bothering me so much. Okay?
You heard of the Marshall Plan, right? Well, this is the Evans Plan.
The Evans. Oh, I see. That's your sneaky way of telling me your last name is Evans.
Yeah. What's the difference?
What's the difference? There is no difference.
Right.
Thank you. All right, there goes Tom, who usually calls to tell us how the post office should work. Of course, any change would be a change for the better.
Competence. And
well, don't forget the priority. Ted Turner, our suspect, anyway, he has proven himself to be a political moron, and he's very lucky that CNN has become such a success because you wonder how a person who obviously isn't playing with all his marbles could be so successful when it comes to creating the most unique, the most incredible the electronic news gathering organization thus far.
Well, what's truly bizarre is at the very time when my comrades and fellow American citizens are risking their lives to remove Saddam Hussein's ability to command and communicate, CNN shipped a state-of-the-art satellite communication setup complete with expert staff by truck convoy from Jordan to the center of Baghdad, and they're bragging about it.
And
it's a crime.
Yeah. So that Lowry girl, her last name is Lowry, she joined Peter Arnett in Baghdad.
I wish they'd been bombed on the highway. That should be a military target.
Baghdad's answer to Kathy Lee and Regis. All right, thank you for the call.
Okay.
See, your name is Nick. You're calling from Astoria. Therefore, I would bet every dime I've got you're of Greek descent.
No, I'm an American.
No, I said you're of Greek descent.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But you have to understand that...
No, I do understand. I do understand that because you're living in the past when it comes to Turkey, and you keep thinking this is 1915, 1920, 1890, and you can't get with modern times. So I can only say that if you were to address 1991
and get in with the president, you wouldn't say such an idiotic thing. To blame what Saddam Hussein is doing on anybody but Saddam Hussein is out of touch with reality.
But prior to Saddam, we had the situation was unstable in the first place. I mean, you have to realize that...
Hey, look, I know about the Ottoman Empire, but the Ottoman Empire is gone, pal, gone. And you weren't even alive when it controlled so much of that part of the world. You weren't even around. Thank you for the call.
What about...
jerk.
Better.
Steve.
Who are supporting our troops in the Persian Gulf, and alongside us were your basic protesters. And one of them had the gall to tell me that any prisoner of war in Iraq deserves to be executed.
You should have shot him. You should have shot him right on sight. No jury would have convicted you.
I did better. I spit right in his face.
Did you punch him out?
I would have liked to, and I would have very well liked to, except that that would have been...
You see,
he's seen this person that violence is something that...
But you see, he crossed the...
You might include some people. There was a quarter-page ad in the New York Times about 2 weeks ago. The ad is entitled, "War is Not the Answer, a Message to the American People." And it was signed by people like James Andrews, Leonid Kishkovsky, Dan Weiss, Walker Smith. And I'm wondering whether you'd call those people scumbags.
Yeah, I would.
You know who they are?
I have a pretty good idea.
James Andrews is the clerk of the Presbyterian Church.
Yeah.
Leonid Kishkovsky is the president of the National Council of Churches.
Right, the National Council of Churches. I knew that. And the National Council of Churches is...
Baptist Church?
The National Council of Churches is composed of people who aren't interested in promoting Christianity, but are interested in promoting socialism, communism. The National Council of Churches has never, to my knowledge, going back 20, 25 years, ever supported America in anything.
How about the United Church of Christ? Them too?
It's part of the National Council. If they're part of the National Council, they are enemies of my country.
The Greek Orthodox Archdiocese?
Yeah.
Cathedral?
That's if they're hey, look!
All these people are...
Oh, get off my phone, you scumbag. This church, that church, what is this guy? What a skunk. I hate guys like him. I hate him. This is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. Get Saddam Hussein. How different this war is, that Saddam Hussein must be stopped. Anybody who can't see that is either a political moron, as in the case of the person you're talking about, or doesn't want to see that.
Well, I just hope that he is eliminated. I hope that he is...
got to... Hey, look, it's this simple. He's got to be eliminated. He's got to be.
He cannot stay in that area. He cannot, not even as a figurehead.
He's got to be killed. I'm telling you, he's got to be killed.
Really great.
Well, that's because we don't have Jimmy, I never lied to you, Carter in the White House. Or imagine, I've got my suitcase, I've got all my bags packed, Walter Mondale. Or could you believe Il Supremo? Could you believe if what about Tugagazot? If he were there, even though he knew how to ride in a tank.
I don't know if anybody has mentioned the fact of CNN, the owner, going with America's foremost trader, Miss Fonda.
Well, people have brought that out. Hey, look, he's entitled to shack up or marry with whomever he pleases.
Well, how about this for if he makes an honest woman out of her, which would be highly unlikely, he and her, as best man, they could have Ramsay Clark, as the maid of honor, Leslie Stahl, and the ceremony could be performed by that Father Drinnan, who was at Georgetown. Listening to him the other night, I couldn't think of anything that America could do that might be right.
The only clergyman in the Catholic Church, anyway, worse than Robert Drinnan, would be the Berringers, who are absolute complete maniacs. I mean, they were known as Father, you know, Daniel and Philip Berrigan.
Right.
But these are maniacs. These are guys that really belong in institutions.
Right.
You know that.
Right. Well, he's in one there.
Thank you.
And Ramsay Clark, well, he is a piece of work.
I look forward to the day that he croaks.
Yeah.
I hope I live long enough to see that. Thank you, Jim. I just hope he doesn't croak on American soil because it's not fitting that he die here in a country that he hates.
Yeah. I mean, he was okay. He was in good condition.
Yeah.
Now they're showing me this stuff on TV, how they were brutalized and whatnot. I mean, if they were if they were going to be killed, I'm going to remember him on that TV or on this newsstand, looking at them the way I saw them. And that picture.
Right.
I don't know if I'm expressing myself.
That's all right, Marie. I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Thank you.
WABC, and check my contract. See if it calls for a stipend. You know, like people over in the Persian Gulf are getting extra combat pay. See if I can get some combat pay or something like that. I mean, it's like a torture to listen to some of these people. But you got to listen to them, though. I mean, that's what I'm here for. Frank.
Hello, Bob. Bob Grant, every night when I turn in my television to see the latest war news, my sensibilities are assaulted by a howling cacophony of insanity, stupidity, and absurdity. I have to be assaulted by watching the has-beens, the never-weres, and the never-will-bees of the 1960s, who are trying to resurrect the only instance in their inane and innocuously miserable, pathetic existences when they felt that they were someone or belonged to something with their absurd protests. Bob, I want to know, where are the super-sensitive souls of the left? You know, those old has-beens like Pete Seeger, Joan Baez, Peter, Paul, and Mary. I thought for sure, Bob Grant, that these great humanitarians would be chained in protest to the fence of the Iraqi mission and singing Kumbaya as they were trying to be carried away in protestation of the violent and vicious terrorization of the Israeli citizen by the Scud missile attacks of Saddam Hussein. But they've shown their true colors. There's a great lie, a big lie that's being propagated by the protesters of the left, and that is that they are worried about civilian populations, that they are against war. War is violent. Bob Grant, they have supported every violent leftist revolution in the world. Are not revolutions of the left violent? Are not citizens murdered, tortured, and terrorized during these leftist revolutions? How can they say they're against war when they support violent leftist revolutions? They are the consummate and disgusting of all hypocrites. And you, Bob Grant, as a student of history, and I didn't think I'd be sycophantic in the least if I said a brilliant one at that, know the historical story of when Caesar crossed the Rubicon. For when Caesar crossed the Rubicon, he broke a taboo, a prohibition, and brought his armies into Rome and changed forever not only the course of Rome, but of the world as well. Likewise, we are at a Rubicon, and the Rubicon that we must cross may be the use of thermonuclear weapons. To me, the life of one American soldier out there is worth all the Iraqis and all the Iranians and anybody else in the world. And if it has to save their life, then I'm for it. We are not dealing with an enemy who is the inheritor of Western civilization. They have no sanctity of life. They would kill another human being with as much compassion and thought as you would to crush a fly. And I think we should well think of the words of the great General Curtis LeMay, who said, some people have a phobia to the use of thermonuclear weapons. But to me, they are just another weapon in America's arsenal of democracy and must be used as such. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Frank, who is perhaps the most unique caller ever to phone the Bob Grant program in the many, many years that I've been doing this broadcast, whose perorations on world events, local events, whatever the case may be, are absolutely brilliant.
The relationship between the way President Bush is handling the situation compared to Carter handling it.
There are two different situations.
Totally?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, just, the same people almost.
No, you're right. There are two different philosophies. One is a fine American who is not ashamed of America's might and strength. The other is a pusillanimous little pipsqueak, a peanut that took itself seriously, came out of its shell, and unfortunately became President of the United States. In what was an anomaly. The guy was strictly an anomaly, an aberration.
Well, that's what I was just kind of curious.
I'm doctoring all my history books. I've made him a non-person. I can't stand even the thought of him with all those teeth
64,000 teeth staring at me like Jaws. Thank you.
All right, thank
you. And I'm agreeing with many things, and then I hear him say, this 200 years of liberty. And I say to myself, well, what could he, 200 years of liberty? I mean, that's stretching it a bit. I mean, we were fighting for freedom in England, and at the same time we were fighting for freedom from England, we were enslaving people in this country.
We didn't enslave them.
Yes, we did.
Look.
Okay, then...
Hey, Bob.
I mean, the women couldn't even vote to the early 1900s. Whose liberty?
Well,
I mean, the black person couldn't vote until 1960s. Whose liberty? So whose liberty is he talking about? That's all I'm trying to say.
I tell you, he's talking about the liberty of people who built this country, people who grew along with this country, people who had a vision that did bring about the changes that you are talking about. If we did not have the vision...
Thank God for those changes.
Hey, why do you interrupt, you scum? Crying out loud. People reporting the news, certainly much preferable to CBS, which disgraced itself on the first night of Desert Storm. CBS, which for some strange reason sought to bring back that relic, that antiquity, that anachronism by the name of Walter Cronkite.
5,000 members of the African National Congress celebrating the organization's 79th birthday at a rally in Soweto said, carried postage, "We love you, Saddam." I wonder if the Jews that backed this, Mr. Mandela and Mr. Dinkins, who gave a parade, would care to make a comment on this. I'm sure they probably will not. Dow Jones reported today that East Germany helped build a chemical weapons and plant for Saddam Hussein. And they did this from 1980 to 1987. An Iraqi general got up and said in 72 that the Germans had so much experience in the gassing of Jews, they wanted his opinion, this professor, on how we could do the destruction of Israel. So much for the communists.